who's here from the government of Mexico, led the Mexican delegation, and I think we had a tremendously productive meeting. These actions will deepen our cooperation and increase the efficiency and effectiveness of our cross-border processes, as well as our security. And I'd like to highlight a few of the binational initiatives and some of the important progress that we've made. First, we've opened the Global Entry Program, which I hope some of you utilized on your travels through JFK. The lines can be a little bit long due to the growth of international travel. And we continue to work to expand the government of Mexico's counterpart program, Viajero Confiable. These trusted traveler programs will speed business and tourist visitors across our borders and through our international airports. Additionally, Secretary Meade's former department, Hacienda, has built a trusted shipper program, the Nuevo Esquema de Empresas Certificadas, or NEC, that meets the same standards as Customs and Trade Partnership Against Terrorism, CBP's program. And our staffs now conduct joint validations, looking at the same company's supply chain practices together to make a unified decision on potential security risks and potential security benefits that they present. And we're moving forward toward full mutual recognition of our two programs, which will mean a supply chain validated by the NEC program oversight will meet CTPAT standards and vice versa, so that manufacturers and importers can move quickly between the U.S. and Mexico across our shared border. In this area, too, Mexico has been a global leader and was the first country in North America to adopt a single window. So we're catching up, and we think once we both have single windows, when we have unified data elements, it's going to enable that smooth flow of trade that much further. Also, our ongoing multi-year effort to really transform our border processes at ports of entry, and this is a shared endeavor on both sides, remains a key focus. This is a critical area of collaboration, and really we need support and input from the policy and academic community in what we're trying to accomplish. I think this audience, and probably discussed earlier today, is pretty familiar with the impact of cross-border transaction costs on global trade. So I will only cite two references in this regard, but I think they're important ones. First, a recent World Economic Forum study commissioned concluded that reducing supply chain barriers at the world's borders just by half, so reducing those transaction costs that operations at the borders present, would increase global gross domestic product by 6 times more than eliminating all tariffs around the world. So what we do, that interaction, that slowdown, when those trucks have to wait in line, or when they're referred for additional inspection, as the backups form because they don't have enough lanes or enough staff, that those can have major impacts on U.S. trade and our joint North American economy. So that's a very powerful statistic. This finding was echoed, I think, really strongly by a recent University of Southern California study. The Center for Risk and Economic Analysis of Terrorism Events at USC concluded last year that hiring each additional CBP officer and putting them at key cross-border ports can impact the economy to the tune of $2 million in gross domestic product, $640,000 in opportunity costs saved, and 33 American jobs. That's for one CBP officer. And frankly, they have a new study that they're coming out this year in transport policy that's going to show that estimate was conservative as it pertains to our land border with Mexico. We have also been exploring mechanisms for partnerships that increase our ability to accept donations of infrastructure. As our former Commissioner Alan Burson likes to emphasize, we're about $10 billion behind in needed border infrastructure to make it easy to cross the southwest border, and we have a lot of catching up to do. This provides another opportunity where there are returns on investment for local consortiums, for state and local governments on both sides of the border to invest in our shared border and help to speed that traffic. And of course, we've seen this year significant support in the U.S. budget for border infrastructure at San Ysidro, at Laredo, and we requested additional funds in the FY15 budget for Columbus and to finish Laredo and do some work in Calexico as well. So we're focused on these key crossings and trying to improve the investments and our ability to utilize that infrastructure effectively. And we really think events like this help us highlight how critical it is that our lawmakers and policymakers understand this impact of the border to both Mexico and to our shared economies. And so I know on the next panel you have Chris from the Wilson Center, and they've certainly done a lot of great work in this area, produced several insightful products and conversations like the one that Shannon O'Neill has started here at CFR are very important to that discussion. So there's more to be done on the security side as well. It's not going to come as any surprise. We need to continue to work together with our Mexican partners to address irregular migratory flows from third countries. That's the busiest border crossing in the world between Tijuana and San Diego. And I mentioned Chris Wilson, our colleague at the Ronald Reagan Building in Washington, D.C., who I think will add great insight to the conversation. If you'll allow me to close briefly, in Washington this week, we're recognizing National Police Week, honoring the men and women in federal, state, and local law enforcement that have given their lives in the line of duty. These tragic events have certainly affected CBP, including again on December 29th of last year. And on Tuesday, we recognized the 31 men and women of CBP who have died protecting our nation's borders in the last 11 years.